A little bit of time. Amen. I want you to grab your Bible, stand with me, turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 1. Do want you to be reminded that we've got that we're going to be fellowshipping in the lower level after morning worship. Amen. Just a few little snacks, and y'all get to take some pictures. Amen. Looking like the welcoming party from Wakanda. Amen. Hallelujah. So we're going to enjoy the Lord together for just a few moments before we leave today. Amen? 1 Corinthians chapter 1, beginning at verse 26. This is my Bible.
This is my Bible.
The living Word of God.
The living Word of God.
In this Bible, I find redemption from my past. Direction for my present. And eternal promises for my future. I will learn it. Live it. Love it. And declare it. To all who will receive it. By living the principles in my Bible. I will make my way prosperous. And I will have good success. Today, I will hear the living Word of God. My mind is alert. My heart is receptive. And I'll never be the same. This is my Bible. And I believe the Word that are written therein. Beginning in verse 26, for you see your calling, that not many wise according to the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. But God has chosen the foolish things of the world to put to shame the wise. And God has chosen the weak things of the world to put to shame the things which are mighty. And the base things of the world, and the things which are despised, God has chosen. And the things which are not, to bring to nothing the things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. Amen. You can be seated in the presence of the Lord. I want to talk this morning from the subject, heroes among us. Heroes among us. Dave Winfield is a legend. But the name Dave Winfield is only known to people who are fans of Major League Baseball. Dave Winfield is a former Major League Baseball player. He played right field. He is currently the special assistant to the executive director of the Major League Players Association. Over his 22-year career, Dave Winfield played for 6 teams: San Diego Padres, the New York Yankees, California Angels, Toronto Blue Jays, the Minnesota Twins, and the Cleveland Indians. He had the winning hit in the 1992 World Series with the Blue Jays over the Atlanta Braves. Winfield is a 12-time Major League Baseball All-Star, a 7-time Gold Glove Award winner, and a 6-time Silver Slugger Award winner. In 2004, ESPN named him the 3rd best all-around athlete of all time in any sport. He is a member of both the Baseball Hall of Fame and the College Baseball Hall of Fame. He retired in 1996 and was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2001, which was a major feat in that it was his first year of eligibility. In 1998, Winfield was inducted by the San Diego Hall of Champions into the Brett Bart Hall of Fame, honoring San Diego's finest athletes both on and off the playing surface. In 1999, he ranked 94 on the Sporting News list of baseball's greatest players of all time, and was a nominee for the Major League Baseball All-Century team. In 2010, Winfield was voted all-time fielder in the National Sports Review poll and selected as one of the 28 members of the NCAA Men's College World Series legend team. The Big Ten Network named Winfield its number 15 ranked Big Ten Conference icon in 2010. In 2016, Major League Baseball All-Star Game played at Petco Park in San Diego. That game was dedicated to Dave Winfield. For anyone who is black and loves baseball, like Brother Larry, who's been standing in the vestibule nodding the whole time I've been talking, Dave Winfield is a hero. And so, it is significant that on the day of his induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame, Winfield said this: "Heroes are ordinary people that have achieved extraordinary things in life." Heroes are ordinary people who have achieved extraordinary things in life. The name Maya Angelou is also legendary and was the name of a woman who was known to a much wider audience than Dave Winfield. Like Martin Luther King, who was born Michael King, and El Hajj Malik Shabazz, whose birth name was Malcolm Little, which was later changed to Malcolm X during his middle passage, Maya Angelou also was born under another name.
Yes.
Marguerite Annie Johnson.
Yes.
Maya was an American poet, singer, memoirist, and civil rights activist. She published 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, several books of poetry, and is credited with a list of plays, movies, and television shows spanning over 50 years. She received dozens of awards and more than 50 honorary degrees. Maya is best known for her series of 7 autobiographies which focus on her childhood and early adult experiences. The first, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which was published in 1969, tells of her life up to the age of 17 and brought her international recognition and acclaim. She became a poet and a writer after a series of occupations. Listen to me here. As a young adult. Those occupations included a fry cook, a sex worker, a nightclub dancer, cast member of the opera Porgy and Bess, coordinator for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and journalist in Egypt and Ghana during the decolonization of Africa. Bishop, why'd you put that in there? Because I wanted you to catch it.
Yes.
Fry cook, sex worker. Everybody over 25, you know what that is.
Right.
Nightclub dancer. Cast member of Porgy and Bess. Executive director. See, something happened. And something can always happen when you still believe in yourself in spite of what it is that you have. She was an actress, a writer, a director, and producer of plays, movies, and public television programs. In 1982, she was named the first Reynolds Professor of American Studies at Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. She was active in the civil rights movement. She worked with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Beginning in the 1990s, she made around 80 appearances a year on the lecture circuit, something she continued into her 80s. In 1993, Angelou recited her poem on the pulse of morning at the first inauguration of Bill Clinton, making her the first poet to make an inaugural recitation since Robert Frost at the inauguration of John Kennedy in 1961. One of the best known and most beloved African-American poets of the modern era, Maya Angelou was a hero. But when faced with the question of what heroism means, Maya Angelou said, I think a hero is any person really intent on making this a better place for all people. Which means that you don't have to have the notoriety of a Maya Angelou. You don't have to have a 24-year career in a major sports enterprise like Dave Winfield in order to be a hero. Because heroes are just ordinary people.
Come on, Bishop.
Who achieve extraordinary things in life.
Yes.
The Bible is filled with heroes. I'm certain that those of you who read the Bible could name a few. Obviously, David would be on the list of heroes. You know, a young boy who fells a giant, who knows in his teens that he is to be the king, and yet he serves the man who sits on the throne, and when that man turns on him, he refused to take him out. Somebody who was able to draw to him those who were depressed and afflicted and rejected and turn them into a great army. David was a hero. What do we learn from David? We learn that heroes run into what others run away from.
Come on, come on.
Abraham was a hero. God shows up to him when he's Abram, doing pretty good for himself. God tells him, I've got better for you, hallelujah, because your best is not my best. Somebody catch that relation. God says to him, listen, I want you to get your stuff together, I want you to get your family together, and I want you to get out to a land that I'll show you. Where am I going? I'll show you. Abraham becomes a hero of the faith because he did what God told him. Abraham teaches us that heroes never allow the comfort of the present to cause them to forfeit the conquest of the future.
That's good, Bishop.
Nehemiah was a hero. He found out that the temple back in the homeland had been destroyed. Nehemiah asked for permission from the king that he served to go back and rebuild the temple. Nehemiah teaches us that heroes repair what others have destroyed. Daniel was a hero. Y'all know the story of Daniel in the lion's den, but a lot of you miss the story that talks about how he got there in the first place. He got there in the first place because he refused to do what everybody else was doing, and that was to bow to a king as if he was a god when he knew that there was but one God. So because he would not bow, because he would not change, because he would not compromise, he was thrown into the lion's den. He's on my list of heroes because Daniel teaches us, like George Foreman once said, a hero is someone right who does not change. Esther is a hero. Oh God, Esther is a hero because she had found her way into the king's palace. She had won the first beauty contest, which happened to take place amongst women who were the granddaughters and the great-granddaughters of Cush and Nimrod, the son of Ham, the father of the black people. Yes, indeed. The first beauty pageant was conducted amongst the most beautiful creatures God has placed on the earth, black women. Esther wins the competition. She finds her way into the king's palace. Then her people get in trouble. She had to make a choice. Esther decided, if I perish, let me perish. I'm going to see the king. Esther was a hero because a hero understands, to paraphrase the words of Dr. King, that the ultimate measure of a hero is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where they stand at times of challenge and controversy. Peter was a hero. I know a lot of times people won't talk about the fact that he denied Christ, but after he denied Christ, he showed back up where he was supposed to show up, and he's the one who preached the inaugural message for the church. And the Bible says that he must have been a pretty good preacher because 3,000 souls were added on the first day. Peter teaches us that a hero knows how to bounce back from messy moments to many monumental moves. Paul was a hero. After Paul got saved and decided to be a champion of the church after all those years of trying to destroy the church, Paul didn't go around and try to pick off other church folk. Paul went to where the other church folk weren't preaching. He opened up the gospel to the Gentiles, evangelized to 2/3 of the known world at the time, because Paul taught us that a hero blazes trails into the unknown among people who are unwanted. I got a long list, but I'll talk about one more because my time is fast running out. Stephen was a hero. Stephen, the first martyr of the church, teaches us what Malcolm X knew. That if you're not ready to die for it, you should put the word word freedom out of your vocabulary.
Come on.
All of these were great heroes of the faith, and each of these persons make it clear that Dave Winfield was right, absolutely right, when he said heroes are ordinary people that have achieved extraordinary things in life. There was nothing in their DNA at birth that indicated that any of them would end up being heroes. There was nobody at the hospital looking at all of the babies that are in the natal ward and saying, factory worker, secretary, oh, this one right here, this one looks like a hero. Nobody sprinkled any hero dust over them while they were ordinary people who got put in extraneous circumstances and achieved extraordinary things. They were people who faced difficulty and overcame, because heroes are forged from the fires of adversity. One of the things that I talk about with you all of the time is the fact that our people are growing soft. It's not their fault. Amen. We're not raising our young people like we were raised. Please understand that when we do everything for them, we cannot turn around and then complain when they don't know how to do anything for themselves. You must understand that if every time your child gets in trouble, you run to pull them out, then they will never know how to face adversity on their own. My mama would look at me in a bad situation and say to me with love in her heart, but determination on her lips, figure it out. Heroes are forged in the fires of adversity. You cannot be a champion if you've never been in a fight. Heroes are the people who stand their ground and say, I will make a difference.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes all you got to do to make a difference is to be the one that stands your ground. Most heroes never realized that they had the stuff of heroism in them until they found themselves in a moment that called for a hero. And right then, something within them propelled them to do what others would not. Rosa Parks, mother of the civil rights movement, in explaining her motivation on the day where she took a stand by taking her seat, said, I knew someone had to take the first step, and I made up my mind not to move. It was just that simple. She says it was not prearranged. It just happened. I was faced with a moment. I knew eventually somebody was going to have to make a stand. Somebody was going to have to make a choice. And I decided in the moment that I would make a choice. I wasn't trying to get in the history books. I wasn't trying to make a name for myself. I didn't care if I ever met Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, because he had just got to town and I didn't even really know who he was. And I hadn't heard of Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And I didn't know anything about all of that. I knew that it was a moment and somebody needed to make a difference. And that day I was exceptionally tired, and that bus driver made a request for me, and I just decided to say no. Heroes are forged from the fires of adversity.
Yes, Lord.
Sometimes things just happen. I submit to you that at least once in your life, something is going to happen to you, around you, and if you make the right choice, you can become a hero in that moment. Now, your name might not ever go into a history book. You might not ever get to give a speech at the Kennedy Center and sit on panels with people like Smallwood and the others. You might not ever have a television special about you. Nobody might not ever include an interview with you in their book. But guess what? You are a hero to your family. You can be a hero to the people in your house. You can be a hero to the people in your community. There are things that are happening around you, and instead of throwing up your hands and saying somebody ought to do something, make up your mind that I am the somebody. Some of you are looking at me now with the look on your face that says, I don't have the stuff to be a hero. remember what I told you. This is the year of limitless potential. You got you have the potential to be a hero because God has given us all things.
Come on.
The Bible is filled with stories of great heroes. And the history of black people in this country is filled with the stories of great heroes. And of course, I could, from this point, venture off into the standard black history message. Start talking about Crispus Attucks and Sojourner Truth, and Phyllis Wheatley, all of those heroes. But I want to talk about some heroes I've witnessed in my lifetime.
Come on, Bishop.
Dr. Pollard already referred to the legendary Aretha Franklin. And for millions of fans the world over, Aretha Franklin was a musical hero and icon. But to me, and countless others, little church boys, especially those of us whose fathers happen to be pastors, it was her father, the Reverend C.L. Franklin. He was my hero long before Aretha ever recorded Amazing Grace. I remember begging my daddy on a Sunday night because the broadcast didn't start till 9, and I was supposed to be in bed. Back then, we made our children go to bed so that they'd be ready for school in the morning.
Come on.
But on Sunday, if Dad was headed to New Bethel Church, Daddy, please let me go, so that I could watch my hero, the Reverend C.L. Franklin, preach the Word of God. But he wasn't just a preacher. He was a civil rights leader. He wasn't just a civil rights leader. He was a mentor. A lot of people don't understand that Dr. King never made a major move without a phone call to the Reverend C.L. Franklin. And everyone remembers the name of the first African-American mayor of the city of Detroit, Coleman Young. But I knew it worked for his older cousin, Dr. Claude R. Young Sr. Dr. Young was a dedicated and esteemed practitioner of medicine who specialized in family care and provided comfort and aid to nearly 3 generations of Detroiters. After graduating from Western Michigan University and the Chicago College of Osteopathic Medicine, Dr. Young returned to Detroit and set up private practice at the 14th Street Clinic, later renamed as the Virginia Park Medical Center, which he owned and operated until his death. 14th Street Clinic, where my family received our health care, and where I'm pretty sure Dr. Pollard's family received their health care, because just about every pastor in town went to 14th Street Clinic. It was the first freestanding, black-owned medical clinic in the city of Detroit. Dr. Young was the hero. He was the personal physician to Dr. King, Reverend Franklin, and Reverend J.A. Williams Sr., and me. He was also a civil rights leader, and for more than 40 years, he was the chairman of the Michigan branch of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and became the national chairman after Dr. King's assassination. And even though he was a black man, there was no Democratic governor elected in the state of Michigan that got elected without coming over to the 14th Street Clinic and sitting in the office of Dr. Claude Young so that he could endorse them, because they were nothing in Detroit unless he did.
My God.
Dr. Young is a hero. O'Neal Swanson. Y'all just think he the Undertaker. Man, I'm telling you, if you knew the history of O'Neal Swanson and the Swanson Funeral Home, you'd understand that all over the country, O'Neal Swanson is a legend to black morticians. That people come from all over the country to be schooled by O'Neal Swanson, who has buried more people for free than most funeral homes have gotten paid for. Wow. He's a hero. Here's one. Y'all don't know nothing about him. His name was Ralph J. Harris. Dr. Harris was the music instructor at the John J. Pershing High School. Thank you. Y'all unlearned. Nobody lean on Pershing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. When I got to Pershing, see, I hear a Cassite in the audience. When I got to Pershing, Dr. Harris, the first year that I was in the choir, we did a piece by Randall Thompson called The Peaceable Kingdom. We did the performance, and there were college choirs in the audience when we did the performance. And after the performance, he was introducing us to instructors who were on the music staffs at colleges and universities. And I couldn't understand why they were at Pershing High School. But I found out that when he had us doing the Peaceable Kingdom, that no other high school had ever attempted to do that work. And it was considered an event, and we did it well. I remember when we did the Messiah, and I mean, we did the whole Christmas portion of the Messiah with an orchestra in high school. And I just thought that Dr. Harris was just a nice guy who just liked kids, and he was trying to live out his dream through us. It was not until after I graduated and started going back to Pershing and started hanging out with him that I realized that he had left a career in New York because he wanted to come back to Detroit and teach other young people and share with them his passion. And that after he retired from high school, he resumed his passionate career as a baritone and sang at the Met and in New York and in Germany and in Italy and all across the globe. Dr. Harris got me into college. Dr. Harris was a hero. I could go on indefinitely because I've known many heroes in my life. Some of the people I can name, I didn't realize the greatness of their stature as a child. But now that I reflect on what true heroism is, now that I understand what they went through to do what they did, I understand that they looked like normal people, but they were really heroes.
All right.
Well, it's a little chilly in here today, and y'all get sleepy when you get cold. This sounds more like a speech than a sermon. I know I'm losing you. I've been in church my whole life. So I need to get to what I really want to get to. Because y'all know that was just my introduction. Many of you are just as unaware today as I was when I was growing up that there are heroes amongst us, that there are heroes around us. I told you earlier about Reverend Hood and the decision he made over 20 years ago to close down his auto shop on a Saturday so that he could dedicate that time to his family. As far as I'm concerned, Earl Hood is a hero. Dr. Pollard, listen, when I told Elder Rice, I said, listen, I need you to help me put a lineup together for the fourth Sunday. I need somebody, and I told her what I was thinking, and she called me back within minutes, and she said, what about Professor Pollard? And Elder Rice will tell you, I hollered on the phone so much I think I scared her. I'm like, yes, I didn't think of her. That would be fantastic, because I have watched her take her love and passion for music and the church and our people and weave them into this tapestry that has taken her all over the world. And everywhere she has gone, when she has left, people have had a greater respect for our music, for our culture, and our people. She is a hero. But can I talk to you about a few more heroes and we be out of here? Chris Albert is a hero. I watched him grow over the years as a husband and a father. I remember when I first met him, I remember that he had some anger management issues that created some problems years ago. And I have watched watched him as a father look at his sons and say, I am not going to transmit my issues to them. I'm going to have them see me taking authority over myself. I'm going to have them see me as a man of dignity and respect who is always in control of himself. I'm going to raise up sons that I can be proud of. Listen, I know you hired me, glory to God, as a drummer. Hallelujah. But at one point, we had another drummer. So I'm going to pick up the bass and learn how to play bass so that you can have a bass player. And then when everybody had left, well, you don't need a bass player. You need a keyboardist. And I ain't never played keyboards before. But I just believe if you pray over me and I sit here, I'll learn how to play keyboard. A man who looks at a problem and says, I don't have the tools for it, but I believe that by my faith, I can be the one that solves the problem. That's a hero. There's another hero sitting at the back of the church.
Yes, sir.
Kyle Shonda. Also known as Shonda Washington. That's a hero. And a woman who makes up her mind, hallelujah, that not only is she going to change the financial situation for her family, but that she cannot be satisfied unless she develops a mechanism that raises up other women and allows them to move into financial stability as well. And wait a minute, because it's supposed to be a business. But she looks at the women who come to run the business and say, guess what? What they need is not money. They don't need more money. What they need first is more faith. So I'm going to turn my business into a ministry and begin to empower these women so that once they get money in their hands, their money will grow because their mind has already expanded.
Hallelujah. My God.
Elder Latrice Rice is a hero.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
If you never bought her book, then you don't really understand.
Come on.
Because you see Elder Rice sitting on the second pew, and you don't know that you looking at a stone hoover.
Come on now.
You don't understand all of the things that transpired against her as a child that served to try to tell her that she would never be anybody, that she would never have anything. You don't understand the forces that had her at a place where she was angry with the whole world. But God turned some things around in her life, and now that angry little girl gives herself in service to other young people so that other young angry women can see that there is a way out. Now, she don't have 1 degree. I keep losing track. How many we got now? Is it 6? We got 6 degrees. She just keep adding degrees on. I don't know what she's trying to prove, but she is a hero.
Yes, sir.
Brother sitting over there on the corner.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
African garbo, looking like a king. He's a hero.
Yes, he is.
If you've never heard his story, you need to let him tell you. But after being locked up in our prison system for more than 20 years, for stuff he admits he did. And if you ever really have some conversations with him, if they got him on the other stuff that they never found out.
Jesus.
But Minister Jones says that he wasn't arrested. His testimony is that he was rescued. And he tells the story of finding his real faith while on lockdown for 20 years. His ministry did not begin after he got out of prison. His ministry began while he was in the prison. And then he comes out of And that little girl there. I know she a grown woman, but since I've known her since she was 6, Mr. Nyambi Freeman, who was not with us last week because she was down in Atlanta making preparations for the Atlanta performances of her play.
Dear
Future husband. So now people see her on television being interviewed. They see her as a playwright. But she'll tell you, I've known her all her life. I know the messed up I am. I saw all the relationships she went through. I saw a young woman struggling to find significance. And though I never gave up on her, I did sometimes wonder, will she ever find her way? Well, she found it. And then she decided to do something that took great courage. She wrote a play about it. And then she wrote another one. And I'm like, okay, now, how much of your story are you going to really share? And then she wrote this last one. And when she started working on it, she said, Bishop, I'm working on another play. I said, oh, really? I said, what's it called? She said, Dear Future Husband. And I said, oh, God. But Naomi has taken all of her struggles, all of her heartaches, all of her pain, and put it in a form that people can digest and offered it into the world to let people know that even if you're in a bad situation, there is light at the end of it. And if God did it for me, He can do it for you. And listen, I need to wrap this thing up, but I need you to understand that there are heroes among us. And even though I might not have called your name, you need to see yourself as a hero. I'm married to a hero. She's always bragging about me and the places I go, the things I do. Y'all know my joke. I tell people I'm one of the biggest little preachers in town. This past Friday, there was a clergy brunch at the Manugian Mansion, and I was there, a special invited guest. You couldn't get there unless you were invited by the mayor's staff. And I'm sitting in the room, and I'm looking at the other people that's there. And y'all know I've talked to you about it before. I had another one of them moments. I walked in with Pastor Branch and Apostle Caldwell. I walked in, and I was warmly greeted by Apostle Merritt and Reverend Robert Smith, who now pastors New Bethel Church, and all of these big names, all of these impressive men of God and women of God are coming in, and they've got more people on usher board number 3 than I've got looking at me right now. But I'm in the room. And my wife gets great pleasure about talking about that. But let me tell you why my wife is a hero. Because I never believed that I could be in the room until I found a helpmeet that told me that I did not recognize my own value. Sometimes a hero is the person who sees the potential in somebody else and pushes them toward that potential and gives them a reason to achieve it.
Amen now. Amen.
She's a hero. She's been sick in her body for years now. It's literally been years. We go from one thing to another. But you stood, you sat and watched her lead praise and worship Sunday after Sunday. Our family knows that there have been Sundays that she has cried on the way to church because of the pain that was in her body. But when she gets here, she begins to lead others in worshiping and praising a God who is a healer we keep letting people in our house. And I want y'all to know that ain't the bishop. It's a woman who is determined not only to be a mother for her own children, but I'll be a mother for anybody that needs a mother. And they can be grown, but child, you need a mother. And some of y'all know that she will be.
She will.
I need you to understand that you're surrounded by heroes. But remember, heroes are ordinary people that have achieved extraordinary things in life. I know you think you're not strong enough to be a hero, but his strength is made perfect in your weakness.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is.
I know you think you don't know enough to be a hero, but the Bible says if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask of God,
Yes.
who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and he'll give it to you. I know you think you don't know enough. I know you think you don't possess any superhuman capability. But you have to remember that you can do all things through Christ,
yes, sir.
who strengthens you. Now, it's 5 minutes to 1, and I should have wrapped up a few minutes ago. I'm real disappointed because I was going to get real Baptist on y'all today. I was going to end up by talking about Jesus, our hero. I was going to change my voice and stuff. Y'all know how we do when I feel that old school blessing coming. And I was going to tell you that since you're supposed to be transformed into the image of Christ and he was a hero, you need to be a hero. I was going to say, like Jesus, like David, like Abram, like all of them, Jesus was a hero because while he was still in heaven, he refused to allow the comfort of his present to cause him to forfeit the conquest of his future. Now it's going to holler. Jesus was a hero. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to tell you that he was a hero because he came to earth to repair what others had destroyed. He was a hero because he started his ministry blazing trails into the unknown among people who were unwanted. He was a hero because throughout his ministry he stood for right and refused to change. On Friday night, he ran into what others ran away from.
Yes, sir.
But early Sunday morning,
Come on now.
y'all know I was going to squall right
Yeah, you
now.
were. Yes, you were.
But early Sunday morning,
Right there.
my hero bounced back from those messy moments to make miraculous moves. He's still doing the miraculous today. One of the miracles that he can perform is making you a hero.
My God.
I believe there are heroes in this room. I believe there are people who, when faced with adversity, will decide somebody needs to do something, and I am.
That's somebody. Yeah. Amen.
Every eye